Y'all know what it is. As y'all come in, let me know how the visual and audio. Let's see. Make sure I'm on point. Yeah, when y'all get in, let me know how the visual and audio is. Of course, remember for the videos to be seen through the algorithms. Thumbs up. This video, we're gonna get into, matter of fact, shout out, love to Great Blackness. Cause what's funny, you know, it was a small little focal point, you know, for a little moment in the last live. She had brought up the question, you know, what do I think about the great year, you know, and it aligned with some other things I was coming across. But in this video, we're gonna talk about. It's gonna kind of dip into a little bit of etymology. I got some notes, you know what I'm saying, because some of these things, you know, just keeping it G. Some of these etymology breakdowns ain't all, you know, in the memory. We're gonna get into that too, you know, into memory and amnesia. You know, also getting into, you know, just remembering the mental health aspect. Let me make sure this, you know, making sure we staying healthy. I mean, on all levels, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But it's like definitely this energy of mental health. You know, we're gonna get into it though. But again, getting into the word divine, divide, astrology, karma, time. And some of this, again, if you watch some of my older videos, it's touching, again, we just different perspectives touching on some of the same stuff, but just with different point of views to make it all kind of add up, you know, to where there could be less and less gaps in between, you know, the knowledge and awareness of, you know, what's going on internally and externally. And I'm gonna just go down the rabbit hole of things, because I got my notes, like literally, like when I say the rabbit hole of things, like I just started with wanting to research the equinox, and then getting into the great year, you know, and the different ages, you know, and then it just took me. So I want to walk through that though, because I want to show like the actual like connection, like how it kind of seemed like, wait, where you going with this? Oh, all right, nah, this makes sense type of energy, you know, with the way it was shown to me. But before getting into it, from the book, Brady's Book of Fixed Stars. Now I do have this book in my Discord server, so you could get the link from there. Hey, peace everybody. Kelsey Vibration, Entwining Roots, K, Ashe. Yeah, Supreme Tarot Divination. But from this book, again, Brady's Book of Fixed Stars, just speaking a little bit on the North Pole. Now, some of this is spoken of in the book. You know, we've heard Bobby Hemmett quote this book a lot, you know, the celestial ship of the, you know, but it kind of breaks down the different the different symbols within mythology and how it connects with cosmology, you know, basically the creation of the cosmos. And again, like the way certain things have symbolic meanings, where somebody talking about an olive tree, but an olive tree connecting to a grape tree, and a grape tree also connecting to the Virgo energy, you know what I'm saying? Hence why on the tarot card, you know, hence why on the tarot card, I forgot which one it is, the 10 of Pentacles with the old man chilling and you got all the grapes around him. It's kind of connected to the Virgo energy, but you know, it's all those symbols. And again, tarot cards connected to astrology and Hebrew letters and so on. But the North Pole Star, so Greeks called it Amphalos, Omphalos, meaning the center of things. So this is what, you know, the name in Greek for the pole star. In the Latin, this is translated as umbilicus, later becoming umbilical. So in Greek, Amphalos, which was another name or meaning for the North Star, it was also called in Latin umbilicus, or later becoming umbilical, like the umbilical cord that's attached to, you know, the navel, attached to us, you know, in the womb, you know what I'm saying, at birth. So we starting off with a little connection. Also, again, as above, so below, as within, so without. The law of correspondence. Mythology is anatomy by law. You know, so if it's a mythological story, it's also going to connect to our anatomy, you know, in some way, form, or fashion. And again, you could pay attention to anatomy if you kind of want to see the operation or the creation of the universe. You could see it in the little small acts of, you know, things that happen, you know, right in front of us in the microcosm. So you see that connection with the umbilical cord to the North Pole Star. And also you got the connections, again, with the Great Mother, you know what I'm saying? Because the pole star is close to the Great Bear. That's where the celestial ship of the North mostly kind of gets to, of like, you know, the Great Mother energy, the North Star, you know, and then also I'm going to speak on as well, showing more connections, is the Samudra Mantana, which is basically the story of the creation of the universe. Now, when we say the creation of the universe, creation of the earthly plane, you know, not necessarily the whole entire existence, more so creation of the seen universe, or this, you know, realm in essence, not necessarily the whole universe. So I definitely want to make that, you know what I'm saying? Because again, when you get into Vedic mythology, you start to see like, all right, Brahman is technically like Yadala brought, you know, and if you get into, if you know anything about, you know, whether it's the Gnostic scriptures with Yadala brought, but again with Brahman, you know, but basically these aren't the source, you know what I'm saying? They may be one of the sources for the creation of this earthly plane, but not necessarily like the source energy, you know what I'm saying, when you get into it. But from the umbilical card and Amphalos, the Babylonians called it Mother Bond of Heaven, you know, also associated as Cosmic Tree or Tree of Life, you know, because if you also look at the veins connecting the umbilical cord from the mother to our navel, it kind of looks like a tree, you know. And of course, y'all know I got to make anime or movie references and stuff like that. From the anime Twin Star Exorcist, the Abe no Seimei, who was the creator of, like, he basically kind of created another world to store like the toxic energies or whatever, but not getting into it. But it basically was like a wall or a tree, almost like an umbilical cord that was like connecting these two different worlds. And then also pole became the royal or holy scepter as well, and known as the sacred sword for the Celtics, and the Celtics, diving into the book Dragon Legacy, also gets into, the connections of like how, Europeans kind of get connected with, indigenous or melanated, spiritual practices, the knowledge and all that. Continuing. Since all power was believed to come from the pole, the cosmic center, it's therefore followed that the power, authority, and wisdom to rule could be achieved by occupying the physical center of the tribe or the group, like being at the center of the group, and this is also somewhat, again, when you talk about ley lines and building state capitals, and state capitals being like the center of the, not saying that all state capitals are necessarily in the middle of the so-called states, these states of being, these little borders called states, but it has its connection, in essence. Again, it's like all kind of drawing back from one of the things it's kind of connecting with, again, is the pole star and being at the center of things. And the Celts called these centers thing or ting, and it's used throughout United Kingdom. You got the Thing Wall in Liverpool, Tingley in Leeds, and Tingrit in Bedfordshire. And Icelandic societies, their system of central government was called All Thing. You know what I'm saying? So just etymology connections right there. Now also, coming to, with the great year is defined by basically by astronomy as the period of one complete cycle of the equinoxes around the elliptical. So basically the great year, when we talk about all these different ages, like in Hindu, or you could say our Vedic mythology, or Hindu mythology, however you want to word it, it's yugas, like the Kali Yuga or the Shiva Yuga, or what I'm saying, like different god names, what I'm saying, for these different ages, and no coincidence, again, we go through the different ages, the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces, the age of Aries, and side note, as I'm speaking on that, that's also karmically, a lot of us are healing, energies within us that are strongly connected to some of these ages, like some of us may have like, you could say tough traumatic situations that went down during the Iron Age, or when Aries was, when it was the age of Aries, let's just say, and that was a lot of warring, a lot of fighting, so some of us still got like just want to conquer and fight, even when you don't have to, because it's kind of like some embedded things. And this also connects to our DNA, because we could think of our DNA, as almost like constellations, what I'm saying, or like stars within us. And when they align a certain way, certain things, certain portals activate and open, so that's also a connection right there. And no coincidence that the Earth's orbit and the elliptical angle of difference is 23.5, and that equals 5.5, which equals 10, or 1, but basically 10, and that connects with the Sephiroths on the tree of life. And it takes approximately 2,160 years for one house of the zodiac to move completely past the vernal equinox, or basically, again, to go through each age, you know. So like the age, or more so, no, let me correction. That change with the 2,160 years for one house to basically, let me start that over. Because I know I'm building up to something. The 2,160 years for one house of the zodiac to move completely past the vernal equinox. Let's leave it at that. And then, you know, they got different approximations for the great year, you know, and again, these different ages where the ages change. Some map it at 25,800 years, 25,694 years. Some people give it approximately 26,000 years. But, you know, in these different ages, you know, comes forth a different energy, you know. In the ages that change, basically, you know, a new deity, aka a new perspective of, you know, the being that we're in, you know what I'm saying? There's a different perspective, you know, our energy that's brought forth, you know what I'm saying? Almost as if like, you know, like, again, like a cell being in our body, and every, you know, like a cell being in my body right now compared to, you know, when I was drinking a lot, you know, and doing other stuff, you know, it's like, man, we're in a great age now. You know what I'm saying? Like things have really shifted, you know what I'm saying? Like we no longer, you know, feeling like this or seeing these types of things in the universe, you know what I'm saying? AKA my body, you know what I'm saying? Because again, the creation story is more so about like the earthly plane, and not necessarily about the whole universe, you know. All right, you say 26,000 years, word. And so also just paying attention to stars. And before even getting deeper into it, you know, as I touched this far, you know, always realizing like, you know, everything is about like trying to remember something and paying attention to the stars. Most hieroglyphs, in essence, is trying to almost like, here, we need to remind you, like, here's a sticky note. Like, we need to remind y'all and let y'all know and help you to remember, get the members back together. You know what I'm saying? Or recognize. We need you to recognize the signs of the time, so to speak. You know, and again, no matter what area you go to, every culture like is trying to help their descendants, in essence, remember, like, hey, this is what happened when these stars align, or this is just what happened in our time. But it's always about like trying to help us to remember something, you know. And when you talk about amnesia, you know, again, just looking at the fact of like lesson loops and kind of like almost like if we're going through the same cycles over and over, how it's tougher and tougher to like to remember certain things, you know, and going through a certain amnesia. I talked about this in the video about Rahu and Ketu, or the South Node, North Node, and just how different astrological, you know, events and certain things are like become. Matter of fact, the proper name for one of the names for, I say proper, but you know, one of the English names for it, you know, is these things becoming theomorphized. Or basically like theomorphism is the representation or conception of something or someone in the form of a deity. You know, I say that again, theomorphism is a representation or conception of something or someone in the form of a deity. You know, so you see like those different, the connections coming in. But along with hieroglyphs and stuff like that, also when it comes to, mounds, pyramids, whatever little structures that was created, and this was in the book, The Rebirth of Pan talked about this. So if for the book reference people, The Rebirth of Pan, kind of was just breaking down. It got into the Orion and Sirius wars, but mostly what I'm connecting it to is, again, like the alignment of, mounds. If you're talking about Stonehenge, mounds, again, pyramids, it was all to be in a certain alignment, you know what I'm saying? And stop and, really like all these people like built all these big ass monuments, whether they did it telepathically, advanced technology. Because again, like I'm getting straight, like I'm speaking to a certain point, so I'm not getting into all that, but they took all that energy, what I'm saying, to build like a pyramids, like 40 stories, the pyramids in Mexico, just to be aware of how the stars align. You know what I'm saying? And when we talk about, travelers on the sea, because again, the universe, within our firmament, because you could think of air as like a lighter version of water, you know what I'm saying? From the depths of the ocean, and literally the personification of our inner journey. When we trying to navigate through our emotions, that's waters, you know what I'm saying? Like the emotions is waters, emotional intelligence is literally like learning how to navigate through waters, astrology navigation, like knowing your natal chart is like navigating through your inner waters, aka your psychology, which is, it's like a little bit of air and water, because you got your conscious mind that's kind of more like the air element, where your thoughts are kind of geared a certain way consciously, but also, again, the subconscious mind is more so speaking to, water a little more than the conscious mind, like the subconscious and slash the underworld, when we talk about the underworld, you know what I'm saying? And again, even bringing up the underworld connects with astrology, because one of the stories with mythology was Ra in the boat, you know what I'm saying, and having to go through the underworld. Ra the sun having to go through the underworld, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's all these different connections, and again, all these different, monuments and mounds and all this, to just pay attention to the stars and stuff like that. So in ancient Kemet, they believed that the duat to be placed where man could live in immortality with the gods, and that the soul of a man could reach the place through knowledge and ritual. Another possible belief was that duat was a specific place in the sky, namely the stars of Sirius and Orion. And again, the Great Pyramids in Kemet, or Egypt, is in alignment with Orion's belt, and even the Sphinx is facing a certain type of way to kind of be able to, where you could get an idea of like what season it is, or what's going on by where the stars are rising or falling, compared to, the Sphinx or the pyramids and all these different places, And so what also came up, and let's see, which somewhat just tapping into, again, astrology in connection with certain mythologies, but this kind of like a little sidebar, because I'm not getting deep into this. But in Zulu mythology, African Zulu mythology, they said to have traveled from the nearest planet to Earth, which in a lot of cases points to Mars, and then also pyramids in Mexico depicting the Martian calendar. So a connection with Mars right there as well, And this is also, again, like, which I'll bring the conclusion later, you know what I'm saying? But like literally, also again, like awareness, because one thing that's going to happen, is us again having to have our mental health in connection with our memory, like not having amnesia, like, keeping our memory healthy, but then also keeping our mental healthy, because there is going to be some form of like, energy coming up. And again, I have my eternal health playlist that has more than one solution for mental health. So it's like when I tell you there's a monster in your closet, or hey guys, this is about to happen, or this what's happening, I'm not just telling you, hey, this is what happened, I deal with it. I got a playlist full of ways to help with mental health, you know what I'm saying? Or suggestions of crystals that help with mental health. So, you know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I always bring up Shujalight, and like for severe mental health, like schizophrenia type of energies, you know what I'm saying? Shujalight and Sapphire. But bringing it back. But again, like people like hearing voices. And now this, I'm not going to use mythology so much as an example, but more so anime and movies. In the anime Soul Eater, you had the Kishin and what they call the Kishin madness. The Kishin was this being that was, locked up, and his energy was so like strong and chaotic that when you even got near it, you would catch the quote unquote Kishin madness, and literally like some of the people was like hallucinating right there, like almost like in a very, very real daydream, but in a toxic type of way that would cause them to harm themselves, or cause them to harm others, And again, as I bring this up, it's like, doing your inner work, knowing you're protected. Don't like the only thing, as they say, to quote unquote fear itself. But again, like facing your fears, doing your inner work, your shadow work, you know what I'm saying? Like knowing that you're protected, you know what I'm saying? If there's a thunderstorm right around you, it's gonna be dry where you walking, you know what I'm saying? You gotta know this for yourself as well, you know what I'm saying? But again, because it's literally like what's keeping you healthy and keeping you protected in those moments is your mental health and your ability to, remain optimistic and not let anything negatively come into your mind and be all pessimistic, you know what I'm saying? Because again, what all these things have in common is like just very strong pessimistic negative mind noise coming in, you know what I'm saying, and like talking them into doing some harm to themselves or others, or on a light level just probably not trusting others, you know what I'm saying. This also is a quote unquote byproduct of not having a healthy solar plexus. Not having a healthy solar plexus could get to the point of like not trusting anybody. You know what I'm saying? But that's again like the energetic field, not necessarily, which though the solar plexus and the yellow color does connect with the mental body though. So no coincidence. You know what I'm saying? But again, on Soul Eater, you had that on the movie Cloud Atlas, which was about reincarnation. You know what I'm saying? Tom Hanks' character, kept dealing with well, in different lifetimes he was dealing with different things, but in the lifetime where it was kind of like in the future somewhat, and that's another thing too, like the future and the past is like somewhat the same, like like again, the technology right now, we think, oh man, this is technology, man, this is nothing compared to the type of things that we done created and tapped into before. But on Cloud Atlas, and it somewhat equates, because I'm gonna make a post about this too, what some people may call a quote unquote devil, and as we're talking about division and divinity, I'm gonna get into that on the etymology level. But like quote unquote this devil figure called Georgie, you know what I'm saying? And old Georgie talking to Tom Hanks and and trying to get him to like, hey, don't trust her. She trying to do this. Watch out for this. You know what I'm saying? But literally like just nothing but like pessimistic thoughts to try to get him to harm himself or others. You know what I'm saying? So that's Cloud Atlas, the anime Soul Eater. On Shang-Chi, we talk about Marvel. The Shang-Chi movie, his dad, you know what I'm saying? Which basically his dad had the 10 rings, you know what I'm saying, which in essence kind of connects to the tree of life and the Sephiroth, you know what I'm saying, the 10 Sephiroth. But his dad, his mom had really transitioned, but his dad was hearing a voice saying like she was still alive and she was being held captive by her family, and her family lived in basically in this dimension within the forest, you know what I'm saying, where you literally like had to, like the trees would move and open up like at a certain time, like you had the time when you go through there, almost in connection with like like, hey, when the stars align. But long story short, he was hearing these voices, but come to find out it was like just this dark entity behind a wall that was closed off by dragon scales, because the dragon scales was the only thing. Matter of fact, dragon scales was the only thing that could like attack these beings, on Shang-Chi. So the warriors had their shields made out of dragon scales, and this just taps into, the energy of the dragon, you know what I'm saying? Again, as much as you do have the malevolent essence of like the reptilian energy, from the dragon perspective, is more so of a benevolent energy to it as well, especially again like also connecting to it being a gatekeeper energy, you know what I'm saying, or like again like the energy of the gatekeeper of a portal, and I talked about this with the trees and the dragons and that whole connection, because even in mythology, you had a dragon with the Norse mythology tree, that the worlds was sitting on. But again, Shang-Chi father was hearing the voice of this entity, and it was trying to get him to open it up so it could release him, and then this show I just posted about the Wheel of Time, which speaks to again like the Wheel of Time, astrology, you know what I'm saying, also again karma, there was an energy connecting with where literally it was a spoiler alert a little bit, I ain't gonna go too deep into it, but they're trying to find this person who is the dragon reincarnated, and basically this dragon can either help or harm the world. But in so many words though, there was this entity that could again like try to get everybody to harm themselves or others through thoughts, so again, full circle with the amnesia and remembering these types of things, and remembering again in connection with astrology alignments, and just remembering in general, like, all right, we're going through some of these moments and these times again. Now, just another little simple connection with astrology and mythology, in the Greek mythology, Zeus, basically Zeus' gift, was always a gift of mortal. Like if you did something, what I'm saying, Zeus would gift you with immortality by making you a star or a constellation, which a constellation, again, our star is also like a tree, but like that's always this thing. And hence why, in most cases, they have these stars named after, in Greek names. And this brings us again to the pole shift or the reset. You know what I'm saying? Like having a pole shift and a reset, And this is again connection with a battle against amnesia to help, remember things and to recognize, these different signs. Again, amnesia from lesson loops. And again, that amnesia, when you're in a lesson loop, it's just like being on a merry-go-round. What happened when you're on a merry-go-round? You get a little dizzy, and you don't know which way to go. You don't know which way was left and which way was right when and those of y'all who done, in childhood that done got on a merry-go-round or just spun in a circle, and it's like literally like how tough it is to kind of, get your equilibrium, literally like your equilibrium or your balance or your harmony and integrity or holding this back. You know what I'm saying? You gotta like, wait, hold on, ground yourself, like, all right, now I see where I'm going, But again, all ancients' focus was on helping everybody to remember, keeping memory of certain wisdom, and again, that's why a lot of us continuously, sharing, this knowledge, keep pushing, what I'm saying? Like in preserving, what I'm saying, this knowledge and awareness, and seeing the importance of it. And when it comes to the karmic perspective, with remembering and memory, the actual science of why it's important to let go of like petty arguments, traumas, grudges is because like a RAM or a hard drive, what I'm saying, something that stores data or knowledge, like in order to remember, you can't have too much stuff on your disk, what I'm saying? And which again, memory is more so like being able to access, like it's not necessarily storage as much as it's like having access. Like if you can't remember something at certain moments, it's because the pathway to that memory might be blocked in essence, due to, again, like whatever's going on in our chakras or, again, and hence why it'd be so important to like face our fears, because certain fears and things of this nature cause certain blockages, which makes it tough to, have a clear path of certain memories, and hence also why having to do shadow work or face certain traumatic experiences of our past, because if we get scared away from certain parts of our quote unquote, internal underworld or subconscious, then we basically not able to access certain memories that may be important or helpful to us in this now moment, So again, memory is not so much about actual storage, much as it's having access. Like if something is occupying the path, like what happened yesterday and who was being mean to you, if that's blocking, your neural pathways or, or not even say neural like on a physical level, but if that's blocking the memory pathway, then you're not going to be able to access memories as easily. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's almost like the access is cut off, and talk about binary, like cutting things off, like the 000, like what they thought was going to happen in the year 2000 with all the computers. Like, oh, all the computers going to cut off because it's going to read year 2000, going to make all the computers cut off or whatever. But anyway. But yeah, that, got to be able to, again, access the underworld. And again, the underworld connected with, water, you know what I'm saying? Because you think about the deep depths, and Neptune, literally, because again, this is also, you see where, again, the balance of having to embrace, the wholeness of things and not see like your quote unquote demons, like not to judge, your inner demons and, certain beings is like all bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, it all serves a purpose, again, like a simple quote, I always use, roses smell good because shit stinks, you know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for stink shit, roses wouldn't smell so good. So, all right, that's going through my notes. So I went through from the place of the memory and the equinox and the great year, you know what I'm saying, the pole shift, you know what I'm saying, and the great reset, but again, connecting to memory and having to remember things, and then amnesia. And so I'm getting into the etymology of amnesia, and now and just showing how like certain companies and stuff just be knowing about this indirectly, or like, certain names for stuff. But amnesia, but with an M in front of it, so MNESIA, is a name of is distributed soft real-time database management system written in Erlang programming language. So it's literally like a computer, like a algorithm operating systems, but that is in connection with, storing memory in like a program that's written, you know what I'm saying, computer wise, for lack, without going deep into it, and again, amnesia, that by definition is the loss of memory, and in Greek, amnesia, forgetfulness. And then amnesia, again, though, not the company, but amnesia, is a specified type or condition of memory. And then in Greek, MNASTHAI, Mnaste is to remember, But this brought me to, like, so even jumping from, because again, the whole MN, like amnesia, you know what I'm saying? And it brought me to Memnon. And Memnon was an Ethiopian warrior who became immortal by the blessings of Zeus. Again, you become immortal by Zeus, you know what I'm saying, putting you in the sky. And I get into the different little aspects of what Zeus could be, you know what I'm saying? Because again, I done somewhat touched on that, like the whole Enki and Lil and, Zeus and Jesus, Jesus, like in the Jesus, Zeus, all that little connection. But again, it's connected to Memnon, the Ethiopian warrior. Memnon was the son of Eos, the goddess of the dawn, again, or like the morning when the sun is about to come up. So he's like a demigod in essence, because he's the son of the goddess Eos, but then he has a mortal father. His father, Tithonus, Prince of Troy, and son of the king Lamedon. And then Memnon's brother is Emathion, king of Ethiopia, killed by Hercules, And again, in another connection with Ethiopia, with the stars is, the constellation Andromeda, and technically in somewhat Cassiopeia as well. Andromeda got saved from Cepheus to cut off Zeus's head, you know. And I even found it interesting too, like the notion of Medusa, like Medusa, Deuce, and when you're rolling dice, which multiple dice, die, D-I-E, but when you're rolling dice, you roll a deuce that's called snake eyes. So Medusa, deuce, rolling dice, snake eyes, in a paradise. And matter of fact, I think of what it is, the anime Hell's Paradise. You know what I'm saying? And Medusa. And again, this is not saying Medusa is a quote unquote like bad figure either. You know what I'm saying? Again, like a lot of these stories of like certain beings that's considered monsters is only considered monsters because, of somebody else's perspective. You know what I'm saying? Again, like having to be aware of who's telling the story, and what's their perspective, because ultimately with mostly all mythological stories, now again, in some way, form, or fashion, yes, we do, in essence, in so many ways, have to, pick a side of what we're here to, because again, we're in a duality, and although we could embrace wholeness, and I guess that's the difference, like those of us who embrace wholeness within the duality, or those of us who just embrace duality within the duality, or the division aspect, which we're walking up to. So went from Memnon, and then so Memnon's mother, Eos, and again, Memnon from amnesia, Memnon, because his name is like, the last part of his name is like M-N-O-N. So, but get to Eos, and Eos spelled E-O-S. But Eos' husband, because again, Memnon's father was a mortal, but his mom was a goddess, but his mom had her real god boo thing, you know what I'm saying, which wasn't Memnon's father. Her husband was Astraeus, Astraeus, and this is bringing in the etymology of the root Deus, D-Y-E-U-S, which is to shine, and again, her husband Astraeus was an astrological deity. He was a deity of astrology in so many ways. He was associated with winds, and he was the father of the four Anemoi, or Anemoi, however you want to pronounce it, A-N-E-M-O-I. He was the father of the four Anemoi, or wind deities. And I instantly, when I think of four, I also thought of the four, the fixed royal stars, And when you break down Astraeus' name, in Greek, Aster stands for star. And then again, the last part, the A-E-U-S, which it stems from Deus, is to shine. So his name literally was like star shine, And matter of fact, right quick, let's see. We're gonna get into, before getting into the divine perspective. Wait, I thought it was gone. Don't tell me. Oh wait, I was about to say. But again, so Deus, D-Y-E-U, and it forms all the parts of these words: adios, a join. As a matter of fact, Asmodeus was the demon connected with Solomon and also with Sarah. But deified, deism, deity, diva or deva, dial, diary, Diana, diet, all these words. Diurnal, diva, dives, divine. We're gonna get to journal, journey, jovial, Julius, July, Jupiter, meridian, mid-eye, psychedelic, quotidian, sojourn, Tuesday, Zeus, but Zeus and Asmodeus gonna come up again, and also the word divine, and again, dia, to shine in derivatives connected to sky, a heaven god, so get to that part in the notes. How y'all doing, everybody? Doing well. So from Astrius, and in Greek mythology in general, you could kind of tell that Greek mythology is, like when we talk about the switch in the dynasties in Kemet or Egypt, where basically, the pre-dynastic dynasty kind of was more into Set, the god Set, what I'm saying? And the dynasty after that was more so into Ra and Horus, what I'm saying? So you see this switch from quote unquote darker demons, what I'm saying, or demons associated with the darkness, or whether you want to say the void, or Tartarus, again, the depths of the underworld, what I'm saying, again, the Titans versus the Olympian, what I'm saying, but that always had been a theme. So Astrius was a son of one of the Titans, a son of the Titans, Creus and Eurybia. But Astrius, together with Eos, as nightfall and daybreak, they produce many children associated with what occurs in the sky during twilight. And twilight is the moment right before the sun comes up, where it's still kind of night, but you could see where the sun, you could see where it's getting a little light blue over the horizon. And then on the opposite side, when it's the sun setting and it's kind of dark outside in essence, but you can still see where the sun going down at, in essence, that's the twilight. And Astrius, again, the four Animoi that was Astrius' children was Boreas, the north wind, Notus, the south wind, Eurus, the east wind, and Nephthys, the west wind. So, little connection. Astrius, already the second part of his name dealing with Deus. So it deals with, again, the energy of shine, but also the sky. In most cases, the sky is associated with the air element. You know what I'm saying? So with these winds, you think about the word wind is also, the same as the word wine, to wind the clock. You know what I'm saying? So also, again, these different astrological ages, and, these different times, knowing the seasons, because again, literally, these different monuments and places, pyramids, Stonehenge, mounds, was also kind of in essence used like a clock, you know what I'm saying? like where you could tell what time it is, you know what I'm saying, or what season it was, you know, uh, due to its position in connection with, you know, the stars and what's going on in the sky. So again, the wind, like a winding of a clock, you know what I'm saying? It could, you know, the God clock, celestial, astrological clock, and again, wind to move by turning and twisting. You know, you wind the clock up. Now, also, uh, other children of Astrius was Phaenon, which was Saturn, Phaethon, which is Jupiter, and this is also kind of low key. Paying attention to the etymology with the ph, you know, just that simple part. You know, in essence, I did a video a while back talking about phosphorus and phosphorus, or like phosp and like Horus. You know what I'm saying? The energy of, like, you know, again, like Horus also being connected in essence to like the sun energy or solar energy, you know, and even again, like your horoscope, you know, horoscope, you know what I'm saying? Because the sun coming over the horizon, the Horus sun, you know what I'm saying? That's all connected. And again, you also see this kind of tote shape shifting trickster type of aspect of like a different god kind of showing up in different ways, you know what I'm saying? Or how, you know, again, like Saturn at one time was like a sun and then it became a planet, you know, but again, the whole pH thing connecting with, you know, the Lucifer energy and the light bearer energy, you know, because again, phosphorus in essence connects with that energy. And so Phaethon was Jupiter, Pyroes, you know, like pyro, like fire, was Mars. Eosphorus, Hesperus was Venus, and Steelbond was Mercury, and that kind of stood out because I'm like, Steelbond, I mean, you put an extra L in the aura in Steelbond, and you got stillborn in Mercury. So that's also kind of like an indirect little Yadalabart connection, and Yadalabart was said to look like a sperm. You know, we call our sperm solar phallic, you know, solar phallic light. You know what I'm saying? And the sperm is like a lion-headed snake. You know what I'm saying? It got like lion's head with the little snake body, you know. But that's also how Yadalabart was depicted, and also in essence considered to be like a stillborn, or like, you know, or like a sperm that didn't get to develop, but, you know, most are kind of bringing into the realm like a little bit of both, you know, like a sperm that didn't really procreate with the egg, but then also like a stillborn, you know. So again, no coincidence that Steelbond was the name of Mercury, and again, this is the children of Astrius, you know. So that's all connected. And so another little story, but kind of connected to Astrius. Demeter visits Astrius to find out, and Demeter or Demeter, you know, that's the mother of Persephone, and Demeter and Persephone has to deal with the changes of seasons, you know what I'm saying? So also like the timing or time of seasons, you know what I'm saying? Demeter visits Astrius to find out about the future of Persephone, because she started to attract admirers from Mount Olympus. You know, Persephone had the gods watching. You know what I'm saying? That goes into, you know, talk about, I want to say it's in the book of Enoch as well, but just the story of like the angels or gods going into the women, you know what I'm saying? Which indirectly, you know, it's not seen like that. Like, cause I don't know if it's an incubus or a succubus as far as like the male, like which one is the male, basically like a male being or entity that kind of, has sex with a person while they sleeping, or like, what I'm saying, it's like a spirit that has sex with, in this case, the spirit that a male spirit having sex with a woman spirit, what I'm saying, or a woman, excuse me, a human woman, because I was like, shit, low key, what I'm saying, God created Jesus was like a little incubus, succubus energy going on right there, Joseph, Joseph just had to, what I'm saying, take a back seat. Next thing you know, she got a son that ain't his, and of course, again, there's etymology to it, but it's deeper connections. But again, Demeter saw that Persephone had a lot of people admiring her on Mount Olympus, and also Demeter didn't want her to marry Hephaestus or Hephaestus or Vulcan, and he was, again, and I talked about him in connection with black obsidian and volcano energies, and in essence Titan energies in connection with the volcanoes. Matter of fact, in that video, I think about the Titans that I recently did, it was a live now video. But Astrius told her that Persephone would be ravished by a serpent and bear fruit from that union. So basically, Astrius told her that Persephone would be ravished by a serpent and bear fruit from that union, predicting about her connection with going into the underworld and connecting with Hades. And Persephone is also, in essence, again, connected to grains, like the grains you could eat, and connected to the underworld, and that's similar to the Mayan gods with corn and maize, what I'm saying? They give a certain importance on maize. And then this also connects with Zabulba. Zabulba is you could say like the Mayan or Aztec name for the underworld, and basically the Milky Way was viewed as a road to Zabulba, and no coincidence that the obstacles on the road to Zabulba, or to pass through the underworld, was a river filled with scorpions, which kind of connects with the Scorpio energy, a river filled with blood and a river filled with pus. You know what I'm saying? I know the last one kind of come off a little nasty. And so in this situation, in so many ways, Demeter gets Astrius to do some divining work for her, you know what I'm saying? Can we talk about doing astrology or reading our tarot cards? You know what I'm saying? We're like doing divining, you know what I'm saying? There's some divination going on. And as I go into this, again, it's not to make the word divine mean something bad. It's just understanding like the etymology and what it's saying, because it does speak to the division, like the beginning of, again, like the divide. Because again, remember that something eternal, like the eternal aspect of our being, the eternal beings that we are, the infinite beings that we are, has no beginning or no end. And hence why in a lot of cases that also kind of speaks to the whole like not naming God either, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you can't put no name on that in essence, but also again though, anything that has a name, if it has a name, it has a born date. So that also means it has an expiration date, so which means it's not infinite or eternal, and hence, the unique, intricate situation with like, yes, we are on a human body, and like from our human perspective, yes, like the names of certain gods and goddesses are older than this bodysuit, that I'm in. But certain gods and goddesses are not older than the eternal aspect of, who I am, and, the primordial source energy, that infinite no thing, you know what I'm saying? Which in essence, again, like the formless soul, because the soul is like the formless, like nameless no thing, you know what I'm saying, of our being. That's eternal. That existed before words existed. Being able to speak just came about, because again, at one point we wasn't even talking. So how could a word represent a God that you should worship outside of you, when your soul and the being that you are been existing before words been existing? You know what I'm saying? That's also a valuable, thing. Again, like it ain't no like we wasn't created. This bodysuit was created. This earthly plane was created. And again, that goes back to the whole Brahman creating the universe. No, he didn't create the whole universe. He was creating like this realm, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you ain't creating infinity. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as creating infinity. So that's that's a key thing to kind of lock that into place. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I always just would harp on the vibes, and again, most of this will come from my DMT trips and like my psychedelic journeys, It's like, wait, dang, like, and just simple meditations, once I start to read and kind of, and like, again, clear cognizant, well, just I ain't gonna say the download, like it's coming, like the knowledge was being activated inside of me as I would go, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, wait, like this is infinite, and then why somebody worshiping, and then you kind of get the perspective of like, all right, it's not about, like, again, there's no good or bad, like, oh, well, then that mean everything created with a word is bad, or everything that, you know what I'm saying, has a name is bad. No, it's just like that awareness, like, all right, I don't have to worship this, because again, in most cases, by most religions, you told that you have to worship some type of sky god or worship some type of god outside of you, when it's really understanding that, source energy is within you, and you don't have to worship anything outside of you. Now, in the bigger picture of things, again, like having reverence and respect, or just, let's just say, you know what I'm saying, like that energy of like, with anything, like just because something was created with words and is not as old as my soul, because my soul don't have an age, that doesn't mean to treat it like shit either. Even though I'm not worshiping it, it doesn't mean to try to treat it like shit either. You know what I'm saying? And that comes to, again, for me, it just works easier when you look at it from inward than outward. You know what I'm saying? You love yourself first and foremost, and then outwardly you a beacon for showing love. And then if something kind of comes at you with some little funny energies, you love yourself by protecting yourself. But again, if you in a certain mental space, you know what I'm saying, you attract less and less of situations where you even would have to, deal with, quote unquote, defending yourself in any type of manner. You know what I'm saying? Back to the whole mental health thing, you know what I'm saying? And not letting these voices fear monger you and all this type of stuff. So again, God, goddess, and deity declares its separation from oneness or wholeness with its name, and again, but that's we all in that same boat though, you know what I'm saying? Again, universal frequencies, intertwining roots, Tartarian, or if I'm saying it right, great blackness, Sayadi, you know what I'm saying? Like all these different names, so we are part of that same thing. Like we're, and this kind of goes into, my video about the 12 movie specialists, where I compared the zodiac archetypes to movie specialists, and this being like a movie, or a show when you consult with certain movie specialists before you go on the stage of Earth, you know what I'm saying, to act out these parts or these personas or these persons, you know what I'm saying? We in these persons are these ego. And again, same thing with the ego. Like it's not to say, oh, my ego is all bad, my body is all bad, you know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, much love to Bridger Ra, because he made an interesting connection, like the spiritual definition of like, when you look at this on a macrocosmic scale or microcosmic scale of like suicide in some ways, you know what I'm saying? Or like the energy of like, a world ending or suicide. Because again, like, ending your own world, but it's like in so many ways, it's like, if you create a world, but you're afraid to actually go into that world, then it's like, all right, well, then that's the end of it. Like, because if you created it and you're not wanting to go into it, aka, again, like with the spiritual perspective of like not being grounded, like, oh, I feel like I'm like, and again, you could, of course, have memories and feel like, hey, I know I exist beyond just the earthly plane. But it's like still being grounded and appreciating your bodysuit in some way, form, or fashion. You know what I'm saying? Because literally, like, when talk about spirits, and like the spirits that's like trying to get you to kind of leave you, like, hey, and that's kind of, and on a darker perspective, that kind of goes into the movie Insidious, which I'm not one to promote. I'm not a horror movie like, I only watch things if it has like a very strong spiritual significance. I'll work through the little kind of semi blood like that, and especially if there's like some type of triumph, like, like, well, all right, I get to see how this person overcame, whatever they was dealing with, you know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, word, but again, like that energy of like, you create a world or create a body, you know what I'm saying? You have this body or this world, but then you don't want to go into it, fully, because you're afraid to fully ground. You're afraid to fully be present in your now, within your body. So it's literally like, you're almost like, it's kind of like a end of your world, like an end of your body. Like you don't want to be in your body type of energy, and again, though, it goes into that extreme from a human perspective of like, suicide or just continuously harming yourself, you know what I'm saying, until you transition. Like, so like just not giving a care about your health or stuff like that, because you really don't want to be in your body. So you're just finding ways to, cope or whatever, but there's that connection as well. Bringing it back to, again, the goddess, deity declares its separation from the oneness or wholeness with its name or word, creating a unique individual experience. Now, let's see, make sure I have that written down. All right, and I'm gonna get to that too, because the word, and again, like the air and the word. So just right quick, the Gnostic, I got to them on audio book, but it's basically like connected to the Nag Hammadi text and the Gnostic scriptures. But the hypostasis of the archons, that's one book or one chapter that kind of breaks down, like, again, how the word and the thought forms, created different aeons and archons and angels or angles, and again, like what the language is called angelish, or angelish. Like it ain't straight up angel, but it's angelish, You know what I'm saying? Like, that. But Hypostasis of the Archons, is one book uh to check out from the Gnostic scriptures in connection with, again, creating the world with the word. The Creation of the World is another book in the Gnostic scriptures that kind of breaks this down. Let's get into the connection with, Sophia, and again, Yadalabrat, because even Yadal, another name for Yadalabrat is forethought. You know what I'm saying? And again, this gets into a video I did. And I did multiple videos like this in essence, I talked about it multiple times. But like, again, like how, the whole little story of the expansion of the flower of life, like the one dot being in the middle, observing everything around it, And again, it's like the creation, like, the creation of the numbers, because that's like the first and real archetypes in essence, one being by itself, then it expands, and then, then creates another circle in essence, like two is created, and then three kind of, comes into play, and, because again, two is like, all right, well, you're no longer by yourself, we could cooperate, you know what I'm saying, and work together and this and that. And three it comes into play and like, yep, and y'all, one and two, learn how to communicate, you know what I'm saying? And four comes in and like, all right, but we ain't never created a solid foundation and ground these things and practicalize what just happened. Like, again, like it's like a little storyline. Same thing with the zodiac archetypes, it's like a little storyline. Aries is like the one energy, head first, like it's all about me, head first. And again, anatomy, the zodiac sign that's connected with the head is, Aries energy, and no coincidence, again, the Pisces, which is like, the Pisces, like, man, I just got love for, I just want to be compassionate, show love to all the different archetypes. I see how all the archetypes, like, I've seen all the different positive and negative to also, but we just need to love ourselves, you know what I'm saying? That was the age of Pisces too, in essence, what that was about. And again, some of us, again, transmuting, being like stuck in these energies, because you could be karmically kind of stuck in a certain dimension of yourself, or in a certain, age, that where it's not really, I mean, being stuck in any form is not, again, you want to be constantly flowing, but, like being stuck in a certain energy, dealing with the different ages that we've been through in the quote unquote past. And again, back to the bodysuit, so the Pisces, like, hey, like I just want to, so peep this out, like both figuratively and literally, Pisces would like to support all of the archetypes that came before it. It just want to support Aries, Taurus, Gemini, all the way down, and literally what part of the body that Pisces is, it's our feet, which is what our whole body, all the archetypes stand upon and is supported by. Technically, a little bit. I mean, it goes deep. Again, the feet is, that's what we're standing on in essence. But, the knees and the bones, the Saturn energy is the structure, you know what I'm saying? And hence why the Capricorn energy, and Saturn energy kind of speaks to support, dealing with the bones. But, again, you see how your feet, it's like you're standing on your feet, and that supports the whole body. So again, as I keep with the word creating a unique individual experience, and even in the word individual, you got div, you know what I'm saying? Which again, doing division, dividing, and things that are divine are pertaining to God, not source, not no thing, not the infinite, you know, aspect of being that goes beyond any boundaries. It's pertaining to God, and hence why for me, I don't get super, I don't get my, as a saying would say, like, don't get your panties in a bunch, too much from somebody, like, using the terminology God and stuff like that. But for myself, again, like, I always use the word source when I'm, speaking to what's beyond the gods and goddesses, the different individual deities, and again, the etymology shows it for itself, and that's also part of why I'm, going through this. But again, just showing you how this all kind of came to me. So again, things that are divine are pertaining to God. In Latin, divinus is of God, or of a God, a God, because again, even in the Bible, like which not on no typo vibes, that goes to show you again, like they done tried to take away so many books and stuff like that, where it just gotta have some type of slip up. Well, in the creation part, it's like we are gonna create man in our image. It's like, man, well, if it's one God, where does we come from? and if you one God, how could you be jealous? Because in order to be jealous, you gotta be jealous of somebody else other than you. You know what I'm saying? So which means you ain't just the only guy. Like, and matter of fact, that's in the I want to say, as I was talking about those Gnostic scripture books. If it wasn't in the hypostasis of the archons, it was in the book, the tripartite tractate. Tripartite, TRIPARTTE, and then tractate, TRACTATE. But literally, like, because they don't have that part in the Bible where the angels, the different angles and aeons was like, wait, like, how you gonna say you're the only one, but you're jealous? Like, basically, got like, if it if it was a comic book, or like, what I'm saying, like a little side note, like they like kind of like, as the angels scratch the side of their head, and that little emoji, like. Like, I don't know, that sounds kind of funny. But so divinus of a God, and then divinaire, to foresee, foretell, or predict. So again, that's going into the aspect of doing divination. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing divination, you're basically, in essence, you're foreseeing and foretelling and predicting in connection with the different archetypes, the different, stars and suns and moons, all these different gods and goddesses. You know what I'm saying? You foreseeing and foretelling and predicting, or divining through, your awareness of the movements of these different gods and goddesses and, things of this nature. This is also what I spoke on again in a video I did about, like, the warden, and the warden that's on duty, you know what I'm saying, could be looked at as like the planet or the zodiac sign that's more of the influence. So, you could get away with this when this warden is, when this security guard is on cell block D, like when, like, think of it like, hey, when Scorpio watching over thing, but sexual things, you could kind of, we could kind of get our little sexual vibes on. When Capricorn in the building, though, it's kind of strict and, you know what I'm saying, we gotta focus on climbing the mountain. But when Cancer in chart is all about love, you know what I'm saying? But literally, like, you know, it's like a awareness, you know. But again, it's in the words, you know, divinare, the Latin aspect of divine, you know, and doing divining, foresee, foretell, or predict. And it goes back to Deus, you know, again, to shine, and derivatives to the sky, heaven, and God. And also these Gnostic scriptures, again, gets into the perspective of creating things with the word, you know, and the thoughts, like how the thoughts and words created. And that's basically with the thoughts and words creating, that's more so of, you know, the air element creating, you know, and as above, so below. If the air element could create above, then the physical aspects could create below, you know what I'm saying? Because below our belt, away from, and again, I mean, we say, you know, we consider our thoughts to kind of be in our head area, you know what I'm saying? But even besides that, you know, connecting to the chakras, you know, the crown chakra connected with spirit or the air in essence, you know, from that perspective. But again, you know, creation through thoughts and words, or through, you know, through the actual physical. Because this is also, again, like an indirect story, again, like with the whole thing with the gods looking at Persephone or looking at the feminine, you know, or the earth, because the earth is like the princess. Hence why tarot decks have it as the page, you know, like you got the king, queen, knight, and the page. But in other decks, it would actually be a princess, because the princess energy, again, represents the earth energy. You know, the divine mother or the ancient mother energy is more so like the water energy. You know what I'm saying? In old French, Devin, like the name Devin, Devin, is a soothsayer or theologian. You know what I'm saying? And theology, that goes in, you know, again, etymology of theo is basically theos is God, you know. So theos is God, and again, that's theology, and that's what I brought up earlier with theomorphism. You know, theomorphism, the prefix theo is God, and theomorphism is a representation or conception of something or someone in the form of a deity. You know, so again, it's turning a concept, you know, or turning a concept of something or someone into a deity. You know. But again, and this goes into connected to Asmodeus. You know, Asmodeus, last part Deus, you know. And there was even like certain aspects of the scripture, which is he's mentioned in the book of Tobit in the Bible, but then also in the Talmud, which is more so the Hebrew or Jewish, you could say Bible in essence. His name was Ashmodai. But again, Deus, you know what I'm saying? Again, that goes kind of to that connection that I was making earlier with Medusa in the dice, you know, like dice or die, but Ashmodai or Asmodeus, you know. And again, he was a demon of lust, but he also, they spoke on like certain moments when he would like go up into the stars to like learn or whatever, you know. And again, Asmodeus was connected to Solomon, and he was tricked by Solomon into creating Solomon's temple, or helping Solomon, you know, again, like create the body, you know, because the temple is the body, you know, the checkered floors, you know, is all the duality aspect, the black and white floors, and the temple of Solomon, you know, represents, you know, the yin and yang energies of the body. And I mean, again, you know, some of these things, I'm one to be open-minded enough to say, It's possible that somebody named Solomon actually built a temple with some checkered floors in it. I'm not, because I'm like, as long as I kind of get the mythological or the symbolic aspect to it, to sit and argue on whether it was a man or not, I feel like that don't matter. Like I could consider, hey, possibly could have been a man, just as long as I kind of get the point of like the energy and the symbol behind the energy and what the story, you know what I'm saying? Like whether it's duck season or rabbit season, that ain't too much my, I studied to kind of be able to, in essence, to be able to debate, but I'm not a debater. I ain't gotta prove to you. But I get the importance though of like, again, like preserving the knowledge, again, from your own experiences, like own meditations, clear cognizance, psychedelic journeys, however you know what I'm saying, from the research, you know what I'm saying, but it's important to again though have, because the whole reason why some people, just on a simple level with, dealing with, hospitals and stuff like that, and how people get cornered into like taking shots that they might not want to take or shouldn't take, you know what I'm saying, taking certain vaccines and stuff like that, is because they don't have certain knowledge and not having it strong enough. Because some people might know that be the difference. Like some people might know a little bit of why they shouldn't take a shot, but they ain't fully aware and they don't fully know to the point where they stand on it. Because again, like the doctor system, just kind of like how, the police do things where they only gonna do as much as what you allow them to do, and based off of, the energy that you give off and what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Literally. So like what you don't know and what kind of energy you're in, like as if you're fearful, like and again, as I speak to this from a hospital perspective, like to each his own, because even if you're, a woman who, done had children through the hospital or whatever, then, like don't be hard on yourself as a part of your karma to experience that if you had to do with them or this and that, but just ultimately knowing, like, all right, like being aware, because when you're strongly aware of these things, because again, like a doctor sense like, oh shit, like after they be like, well, you got to take the epidural to numb yourself to have this baby, and and if the woman, well, no, but you see, I thought or I read a little something, just that energy behind that, you know what I'm saying, is like, like, nope, don't come even, or no, I promise you need to, because he been doing this all day, all the time, talking people into doing shit that probably not really, really healthy for him, you know what I'm saying? So he or she is ready to stand on that as a doctor, you know what I'm saying, from that perspective, but when you know what's up, like, oh no, Dr. Sebi, this and that, blah, 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 Dr. Lay out of Africa, and this information, and then as far as my rights concerned, I know fucking well you can't, you know what I'm saying, and it's like, you don't have to, you know what I'm saying, like, like, and literally, like, again, like how different dimensions exist all in this one dimension, you got, again, people experiencing different dimensions all in one place. But again, it's like that awareness and that strength of, really knowing, and hence whether, if you gotta have repetition at reading certain things over and over again, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, because again, I saw the difference for me in my experience. Like I attracted less and less people wanting to argue about the truth. The more and more I just kind of like locked the shit in, where it's like, and not locked it in on no stubborn, closed-minded type of vibes, but just like, all right, from my experiences and what I read, I know this. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, and that, that makes a difference. I kind of laugh at like that whole, for me, like, again, like with the whole, I know this kind of sidebar, we're going to get a little back into it, but, like with the whole COVID, all that type of, it's like, I know so strongly, for one, because that's just a part of my alignment in the sense of like before even studying, again, most of y'all just kind of like, oh, telling that story again. It ain't a long story, but like, again, as a little kid, as a child, like I always was like, man, I feel like AIDS and cancer is like that shit not real, and more so like it's more mental than anything. Like these people are only transitioning due to the fact that there's the spell casted over these diseases that say you're gonna die soon if you quote unquote have this disease. So like people start getting sick and shit like that because they done mentally give up on, it's more so of a mental thing, But again, I felt like that was me as a, before any type of esoteric information and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, and then when I come across the books and then I start actually eating healthy and then seeing the difference, it's like, oh, well, yeah, this shit is way more mental. And there are things that, besides just the mental aspect to it, it's things that you could eat that could help, you know what I'm saying, keep quote unquote dis-ease from out of the body, you know what I'm saying? So, but I digress. Back to the deist aspect, you know what I'm saying? And again, from divine, and again, as I'm bringing up this part, just showing how, again, with the word etymology of divine, in the first aspect, div, going into divide, again, individual, you know what I'm saying? Like, deus, which is connected to, again, a sky god, and also, again, sky god being the air, because it also could be connected to the fact that all these different, again, like, and it's like the story, I guess, like with Adam going into the garden and naming all these different beings, because they also have this on the time I reincarnated as slime. There's another anime that did this as well, but like basically when he reincarnated into this new world as a blob, and is there like a game in essence where you ain't had no skill points, no abilities, and also it was like a personification of, you could say, the wisdom of Sophia, you know what I'm saying? Because he had like this female computerized like helper that was like helping them, like, hey, you should do this and that, almost like a mental Siri in essence, you know what I'm saying? But with a woman voice. And he first came across a dragon. The first thing he came across when he reincarnated to his new world was a dragon. Became friends with the dragon. But when he got into the world and started going out and about, like the beings had no names, and when he named them, it would take his magical power. Cause what was funny, like he named like a couple people in the village, a couple of ogres or something like that, goblins. There were some goblins. He named some goblins, gave them a name, and literally they kind of like almost like kind of powered up. But then after he gave out a few of them names, he actually like he kind of just like tapped out, and was like drained, and I in some ways kind of connecting to the whole little creation through the 7 day, like the 6 days and the 7 day arrest type of perspective as well. But like his magical energy was used up, because again, he used early in the game. As he progressed, he got stronger and stronger where he could name more and more beings. But because they did have a part where he did end up having to name the whole village, and he was like, he had to sleep almost like for about 5 days after naming the whole village or whatever. But again, though, they actually start to like actually evolve and power up after giving these names, and also with Deus and connected to the Vedic or Sanskrit, Deus, Dyus, is the god of heaven, and coupled with earth, which is Prthivi, Prthivi. So Deus and Prthivi, you put those two words together, which makes let me get it right, Dyava Prthivi, Dyava Prthivi, the Dyaraprthivi, but which actually equals universal parents. So again, the god of heaven coupled with earth, etymology wise, turns into universal parents, or again, Dyava Prthivi, which means again universal parents. So it shows that connection. And I spoke in the other video about, like, again, even the word auspicious, like, because divine is one word. And again, also just showing though, like, the word divine, like, it doesn't mean like it's all good or all bad, Divine just mean connected to God. So when we use that word, oh, that's so divine, you're not necessarily, because I feel like when people use the word divine, like they want it to mean like something that's like, it almost has like a beauty or omnipresent aspect to it. And that's not to say that individual gods and goddesses don't have like a benevolent energy to them in essence, but it's sometimes used like as if like, that's the highest best, what I'm saying? Because I know people who even have it in their names and stuff like that, and they ain't, again, they ain't no all bad people and stuff like that, but it's just like, that awareness, on a deeper level. And again, allspice, like the part of auspicious or something auspicious, but allspice is a divine or prophetic token. Latin auspicium or auspex, which equals the observer of birds. So you got this Deus prefix that kind of speaks to a sky god, and you go to auspicious and it's speaking to birds which fly in the sky. Again, the Latin word avis, avis, equals bird, and Latin specere, specere, is to look. So again, avis, specere, or auspicious in essence is bird, to look at birds, or in essence get omens through observations of birds, So I mean, It all connects right there. And then, and a little connection with the mountain. And this kind of goes back to the beginning of the video with the whole pole star energy. You know, the pole star, the cosmic tree, tree of life, the royal or holy scepter, you know, and the whole, I brought up the book Celestial Ship of the North that goes into this as well, you know, with the whole Great Bear constellation and the Mother constellation. I did a video, I think it's a live now video on galaxy, you know, and the etymology of galaxy and how, you know, galaxy lacks, you know, the galaxy, you know, lacks is dealing with milk. You know what I'm saying? So there's another way. Again, man, the etymology kind of just helps to, you know, tie it in, you know, a lot more, you know, getting the proof being the pudding with, you know, with a lot of it. But the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, which somewhat is redundant, you know, because again, like calling it the Milky Way, and then also, you know, lax, you know, is in there too, which is speaking to milk as well. And again, I brought up earlier how Shaboba, the underworld from the Aztec and Mayan perspective, is viewed to what it is that the Milky Way, the Milky Way is viewed as a road to Shaboba, and the Milky Way is viewed as a road to the underworld. Now in Vedic reference to atmosphere is Samudra, you know, which is sea, or the abode of the celestial waters. Again, Vedic reference to atmosphere is Samudra, which is considered like the sea or the abode of the celestial waters. And Vedic is also referenced that the mountains is Parvata, Parvata, which is also connected to the clouds. So mountains, Parvata, is also connected to the clouds, you know, so the sky and the mountain connection. And then rock, which is Adri, Adri, is also connected to the clouds. So again, you know, seeing the mountains connected to the clouds, in which we call them crystals, but they say rocks connected to the clouds. And a portal, aka a door, you know, in connection with Vedic or Sanskrit, a portal, aka a door, is called Atta, the doors of the cosmic house. So doors of the cosmic house, Atta, is the suffix to the word Parvati, or Parvata, excuse me. And let me do one of these numbers right here. So you could actually see, but again, mountains, Parvata, you know, and ATA, last part of the word that's connected to mountains, is also connected to being a portal, aka a door. And speaking of mountains that support or adore, you know, everybody talk about Mount Shasta in Northern California and how there's a, you know, strong connection with beings in that area. And then again, as I talked about the, you know, the fairy kingdom and stuff like that in the valleys, you know, in between the mountains, you know, again, the doors of the cosmic house, you know, the door, again, that portal. And so the Samudra word, Samudra in Vedic, again, the sea, the abode of the celestial waters. And you got the whole Samudra Mantana, or Mantana, which is again the connection to the story of the creation, or basically the churning of the milk, you know what I'm saying, of the ocean of the milk. So Mount Mandara is used as a churning rod to churn the ocean of milk. So the mountain, and again, the mountain, the cosmic tree of life, the royal holy scepter, you know what I'm saying? Go catch the beginning, but I'm gonna just cause the notes right here. And again, the North Pole star, where Greeks called it Omphalos, which in Latin is translated to umbilicus or umbilical. You know, so this North Star energy or North Pole energy, you know, also umbilical, but also kind of like what a mother's milk in essence, you know, is connected as well. So Mount Mandara is used as a churning rod to churn the ocean milk. And you could go look up Samudra Mantana yourself, you know what I'm saying? And you get the whole little story. And again, this also still kind of keeps it in the realm of the etymology in connection with Deus, because, you know, Deus is connected to the Devas. And no coincidence though, in again, like what is not necessarily good or bad, even though they kind of consider it benevolent and malevolent beings in essence, you know, in the Vedic scriptures, you know, the word Deva or Devas, you know, is connected to Deus. And Devas was like the quote unquote benevolent gods and goddesses, and Asuras was like considered like the quote unquote demons or whatever. Now, with a little bit of the notes on it, Vasuki, the second king of the Nagas, has a gem on his head called Nagami. And I also thought of, I think it's called Nagini on Harry Potter, the Lord Voldemort snake, Nagini. But again, like the Naga energy, you know, like there are malevolent, you know, you start to realize with any of these expressions and any of these energies, again, it's a, you know, malevolent, benevolent aspect, or more so like a lower vibrational, high vibrational. Because again, this could also, not say can, you know, also connects with the, again, the mythological or mythology and anatomy story of the Kundalini rising from the root chakra, you know, and the Ida Pingala, you know, the yin and yang gonna be kind of like tested towards each other, they opposite energies, you know what I'm saying? But as they connect and rise properly, you know what I'm saying, it creates a healthy balance. And, you know, you can also see like there's a Kundalini, you know, raising within this realm. Because, so to bring that up, you know, like when I talked about like the quote unquote madness, or, you know, like some people may call it like psychosis or psychotic breaks or whatever, you know, but that's also connected with Kundalini rising abruptly, you know, and your Kundalini energy may rise abruptly, and you're not, you know, you don't know how to handle it or have somebody to help you with handling that, you know, or you're not aware, again, like how to deal with it, you know, it could cause like, you know, like a mental break, you know what I'm saying? Like where you become unstable mentally, you know, again, with this Kundalini rising, no coincidence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Earth being like a body, in essence, has like a Kundalini energy rising right now. And a part of that energy, you Again, if we're not facing our inner demons and doing our shadow work and taking care of our mental health, that energy could, come off as extreme, negative voice, and a voice that's kind of like harmful and trying to get us to harm ourselves, in some way, form, or fashion. It's that same connection, and again, it's also connected to the show that I talked about. A little spoiler alert, again, the Wheel of Time, which kind of depicts and kind of shows strongly that energy of like when the matriarch energy kind of had more of the powers and energies, and also showing that power dynamic and kind of like that earliest beef of like, the women not wanting the men to have power, the men not wanting the women to have power, type of, the back and forth type of energy. It's a real good, spoiler alert too, though, a few, it does have a little blood in it, does have a little quote unquote little monsters in it in that sense, but ultimately the storyline so on point. It, again, like, but bringing it back. But also, before I go with the Kundalini connection with that show, the 5 people, or really 4 of them, that was possibly supposed to be the dragon reincarnated, they stayed in a little town around, or what a little area was called like the 2 rivers, or by the 2 rivers, which in essence, again, like the Kundalini, the Ida and Pingala, like the 2 currents, because the river has a current, your nadis and meridians in your body, chakras, nadis, your ley lines. The earth has ley lines, you have ley lines, those meridians carry a certain current, And also, on a side note, because I thought I spoke on this at one time, about like how we could get acupuncture done on our body, and we do acupuncture on the earth. Like, so I brought up the reference to the anime Full Metal Alchemist, because Full Metal Alchemist is not the only thing it focuses on, but one of the main things that it kind of shows is kind of like basically a little vibe of how governments, especially like the esoteric and occult aspect of governments, aka the parts of the government that know about, the metaphysics of things, but basically how they would like create magic circles on the land by negatively affecting the land. So they would cause like they would kill a bunch of people in war in this area, and then kill a bunch of people in war in this area, and in this area, and this area, and this area. And then when you looked at it from above, like at a map, it created like a geometrically perfect 5-pointed star. So literally, like, they was creating like a harmful, magic circle, and in connection with the ley lines, by having these wars in these certain places to kind of cause this effect. And I was also saying, like, healthy form like a acupuncture solution to kind of offset some of these things. It's also connecting to like when I was talking about grid and trees in another video, but it's like actually going do healthy harmonic things in areas where these ley lines. And as I say this, this is not like, hey, you have like, all you have to do is be the greatest you and take care of your body, because I don't want to, gotta walk that line of balance. There's a thin line between doing your inner work and doing what you gotta do and being a great beacon of of integrity, of of truth and harmony and all that. Is a thin line between, you know, that and again like thinking you gotta go out and try to save the world. Like you ain't gotta go out and try to save, you know, like, because it kind of, you know, you again, where it get tricky when you think like, oh man, the only way to feel important or to only, because it kind of get into that religious vibe of like the only way to go to heaven is to help them first or help everything outside of me. Wow, there's stuff that you know what I'm saying? And I think that goes to unhealthy solar plexus as well. It's like things that you should be doing for yourself and working on for yourself, you're trying to help everybody else with, you know. Hence why I had to make sure I was taking breaks with doing videos and stuff. It's like, man, you might be leaning a little bit too much towards, you know, again, like being external with it. You know, you are important whether you make a YouTube video every day or not, you know. And again, though, you get to a space where, again, like understanding yourself, where, you know, for me, it's like, I really love to do it. You know what I'm saying? No, it ain't like from a subconscious programming of like, oh, the only way to save myself, to like, but literally like the only way to save myself or the world is because I, you know, it's like, no, I value sharing, you know, this knowledge. I you know, it's something I love to do. One of the things I love to do. But bringing it back to the whole Samudra Manthana thing, Vasuki, the second king of the Nagas, has a gem on his head called Nagini, Shiva serpent. So basically, the serpent that's around Shiva's neck in most pictures, you know, if you done seen a picture of the god Shiva, you know, and I did videos on the Shiva lingam, and I can't reach it right here, but I got a few on my bracelet, the rude rakshas, the seeds, you know what I'm saying? Without getting all into the confusing aspect of all the different forms of one god, because Rudra is another form of Shiva and different other gods and all this, but just the Shiva Lingam crystal, and then Root Rakshas is known as like the tears of Shiva, you know. But Shiva's serpent that will be around his neck is Vasuki, and he offered to serve as the rope between the Devas and Asuras. Now, while I'm right here, because I know I got it, so we could give a little visual. I'm right here by the computer. Let's see, I got a few of these pictures. See, like this whole, that's the mountain in the middle, or like the North Pole. And again, the Devas and the Asuras working together, the quote unquote demons, because again, that's how duality, you know, again, it's a theomorphism of the balance of yin and yang, lower vibrations, high vibration, lower chakras, high chakras, you know, energies that may be more fearful than others, which honestly, you know, I feel like when you really look at it, again, like even some of the Devas, like I did the story on Indra. Indra had a little bit of, you know, fearful and energy or jealousy, even though he was considered a Deva, not a Asura, you know. So again, showing like how neither side is like all good or all bad. Because literally in another story with Indra, there was a actual Asura, or quote unquote demon, that actually helped him. You know what I'm saying? That put his like went against his family to help Indra, and Indra didn't show him love. Here's another one. Let's see if I could zoom in on it. Yeah, you know, same thing. That's a smaller one. I would have to zoom too much, mess. Another little simple one, but again. And I posted this one. I think I did. Oh no, I posted this one with the different locus. This is like the cosmology. Somewhere saying cosmology is Norse mythology. This is also like a part of meditation. So again, like mythology and anatomy, the anatomy of our energy body, and there's a certain meditation where you use the mantra tapa, you know, jhana, maha. This one is more so swaha, but svar here. And then buva and bur for the root chakra, or again like connecting with the earth energy. And I have that somewhere too in my notes. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. The loci, the world. The universe, or any particular division of it. Again, planet, plane, realm of existence. But then also, again, there's also like a little mantra. Loka samasta sukinu bhavantu, which is kind of like a little mantra of wholeness. I ain't telling y'all to use that mantra. You know, you gotta feel it. Or take a resonate, leave or don't. You know, but again, there's a meditation. I ain't write it all down, but like you go through each chakra. You know, because tapa is like the first eye chakra, medulla part. Jhana is like the throat chakra. Maha is more so that's the solar plexus. But again, in no coincidence, I told y'all, like, again, the yellow color in the solar plexus connected to the mental world, plane of spiritual balance, you know, because it's kind of like at the center of our body. It's like our sun, in essence. And Jhana, world of pure knowledge. Tapa, world of intuition. Satyam, world of absolute and ultimate truth. You know, and this was also the connection I brought up, you know, how Jainism kind of speaks to the eternal aspect of the universe. Jainism, the universe is eternal and therefore wasn't created by any god. Because again, if, you know, if we infinite beings, that mean I never was created. You know, again, like these little egos and bodysuits and, you know, these little names are created, but ultimately it goes beyond that. So Finish up reading a little Samudra notes though. Remember, if y'all vibing, you know, hit the like button. I've been kind of going in, so I ain't been really peeping what y'all been typing. So back to the Vasuki thing though. Vasuki, again, was used as the rope between the Devas and Asuras. And Vasuki, big brother, is Ananta Shisha. And I brought up Ananta Shisha. I think I posted, maybe it was in no, it wasn't in the Indra, video, I don't think, but Ananta Shisha is basically the serpent under all the lokas, or where so, all right, let's see, because it's on here, even though it's kind of small. But you could go look at the picture, but while I'm right here. Ananta Shisha is also pictured as a snake with a bunch of hoods, almost kind of like a cobra in essence. So you got the lower locus, kind of like the depths. But again, where our body was born from, was born from the depths of our mother ocean in the darkness. But there's a little bit of both, It was that thought to some extent, the air aspect had a little bit of connection with that creation. Because our mom and daddy had to think about wanting to do a little something. And they made it happen physically. But again, Vasuki, big brother, is Ananta Shisha under all the different lokas, where Vishnu is said to rest. And Vishnu is another one with multiple, different avatars. Now the Devas and Asuras, some had to carry the mountain to like the specific area so they could do the whole churning thing. Some of them had to carry the mountain, or you could see it again, like another, with the etymology aspect, another word for mountain was the word for mountains, our reference for mountains was Parvata, and a part of that name, Ata, which was a portal or a door. So they had to, in essence, carry the portal, carry the North Pole, and it's all kind of goes back to, again, like the connection with the different ages, what I'm saying, and the great year and the precession of the equinox and the pole shifts, and again, paying attention to the astrology and the stars, because the stars in astrology is the gods and goddesses as well, what I'm saying? And hence why, again, like Zeus stories, or you want to make somebody immortal, I'm gonna turn you into a constellation. There you go. But so the Devas and Asuras had to carry the mountain. Now some of them died and some of them passed out while carrying the mountain. Vishnu flying on Garuda. Garuda was basically the mount of Vishnu, which he literally was also like a deity himself. Garuda was the half brother to the Devas, to the Gandharvas, and the Gandharvas was like I brought up them in the video with the fairies. They were like the musical, you could say like the masculine musical beings in essence. But again, Garuda was half brother to the Devas, Gandharvas, Daityas, which is also like the Asuras. The Danavas, the Nagas, the Vanara, and the Yakshas. You know, and the Yakshas was also another word for fairy, like another connection to fairies. And he was depicted as like a eagle-like sunbird or the king of birds. So that was Garuda. So Garuda was like kin to everybody, in that sense. Again, speaking from the mythological perspective. Again, some of this just represents, whether it's a planet, a certain principle or idea, because again, that goes back into the Gnostic scriptures, Yadala Bar being called forethought, and he being a sperm, and like I just joking about, like, being a thought as well before actually being a physical act of sex, you know what I'm saying? Forethought, you know what I'm saying? But the interesting part, so Vishnu flying on Garuda revived all of the devas and asuras that helped to carry the mountain. The asuras refused to pull the tail end of Vasuki, so the devas agreed to pull the tail end, because the asuras was like, y'all saying we working together and we gonna do this together and we like equals, but then we gotta hold the tail of the snake. Why we gotta hold the tail of the snake? You know what I'm saying? Like, why y'all can't hold the tail? You know what I'm saying? Kind of. You see how all those subtleties go into our experience, within the human body on certain levels. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about transmuting karma or transmute, because again, karma, Saturn dealing with time, farther time, chronos, you know, and again, cause and effect being literally like the parents to all archetypes, you know, again, cause and effect. This was in I spoke on like how the cause and effect. So with who it was in the Gnostic scriptures, when Yadala brought saw that one of his children or somebody, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but you could go look it up, but he saw something that made him jealous. Let's just say, like, so cause and effect. He saw something, bam, that was the cause. The effect was he became jealous, and instantly when he became jealous, literally jealousy was born as a god or a goddess in essence, and I kind of was bringing that in earlier, like I did a video about, like, again, how the numbers and different archetypes being born, again, through the cause and effect, like, because that's where that comes from in essence. And as I'm saying, some of this take what resonate, leave what don't, because a lot of this probably ain't in books, like how the way I'm expressing it, but because I didn't read it in no book, like that cause and effect, creating, gods, from that perspective, that's kind of like literally just came to me, but it's like, again, with the explanation of the flower of life spread, like, bam, I go here, I felt kind of lonely, bam, loneliness was born. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, and like the accountability, and responsibility in essence of, dealing with ourselves and what we create and how we dealing with, oh, you're jealous, bam, jealousy is born. You can't let jealousy overthrow, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't let that little, that quote unquote deity you just created, overcome you. At the same time, you can't also try to treat it like it ain't shit and it shouldn't exist, Jealousy exists for a reason, you know. Like, again, it's that balance, you know what I'm saying? And what everything is kind of, like everything is a lot of the energy flowing up right now is just the awareness of restoring balance, and again, healing karmic energies, because one time in your past you probably was like, fuck jealousy, it's all bad, and then until you had to deal with it yourself, or you saw somebody being jealous that you love, and you could tell that they really in their heart they didn't want to be jealous, you know what I'm saying, but that's where, again, like all these human experiences and perspectives come from in connection with the ancient mythology of it. But again, soon, like instantly, like cause and effect. Somebody gave such and such a rose. All of a sudden, happiness was born. You know what I'm saying? The god of happy. I'm making it sound facetious, but that's, saying it in a facetious type of manner, but you get the picture. And again, going back to finishing off with the Mandara mountain. Mandara started to sink to the bottom of the ocean, so Vishnu took form of Bam. So it's another little mythological story in connection with the animals, and one that for sure in the quote unquote Americas, a lot of people are familiar with, in the sense of calling this place Turtle Island. But as the Mount Mandura, as they were churning, the cosmic ocean milk, the mountain started to sink to the bottom of the ocean. So Vishnu took form of Karma, or took the form of Karma. That's a form where he was basically like a turtle. That was his turtle avatar. So literally, like, he became a turtle to put the mountain on his back so it could stop sinking into the depths of the ocean. And another connection with this though also is Hala was a poison that came from the ocean of milk as well. So there was also a poison, even though it was an ocean of milk, it was also poison. And Shiva consumed this poison to protect the three worlds, so to protect some of the locusts, that I just talked about. Shiva consumed some of that poison, and that was said to turn his throat blue, in essence, the hue of his throat blue, not his whole body, because I was thinking about Krishna, but his throat, the hue of his throat became blue after swallowing some of that poison that came out from the ocean of milk. And it was said to have 14 Ratnas, Ratnas, are quote unquote gems, And also, speaking of gems, the word, and so many paraphrasing a little bit, but the Sanskrit word for the solar plexus, since I'm right here. Matter of fact, somebody type it in. What's the Sanskrit? Make sure y'all paying attention. What's the Sanskrit word? Make sure y'all pay attention and y'all remember something that I'm not remembering in a moment. But the Sanskrit word for the solar plexus. But whatever it is, it translates into the jewel. You know what I'm saying? So just connecting the jewel, the whole little gems and the jewels. And again, the jewels coming from the middle part, your solar plexus. And a few things, just to name a few, because it goes way more in depth than this. But three goddesses came from the ocean of milk. One was Lakshmi, which is Vishnu's consort. And Lakshmi is also a representation, speaking of, milk. And we think of the little saying, the land of milk and honey. You know what I'm saying? That also connects with, the Orisha, Oshun. In essence, was with the whole milk thing. I mean, with the whole honey, but the land of milk and honey, because also that shows the connection. I talked about that, the connection between the bees and the cows and all that. I'm not going to go into depth into that because in a galaxy video, go look up my galaxy video. I ain't do all that for nothing. But the three goddesses, they had three goddesses that emerged, Lakshmi, the Apsaras, which are the fairies, and Varuni, which is the goddess of wine. You had three supernatural animals that came from that, Kamadhinu, or Surabi, which is oh wait, hold on. Oh yeah, so Kamadhinu or Surabi was a wish-granting cow that was taken by Brahman. And Brahman, speaking of cows, Brahman, the Brahma bull, again, that whole connection. And when you get into the Vedic astrology, the nakshatra, Rohini, I talked about a little bit about nakshatras and showed a little bit of that in the video on Indra. Go check it out. Rohini is connected to the Taurus energy, and Rohini, and the god over Rohini, connected to the Rohini nakshatra is Brahman. Airavata was a supernatural animal taken by Indra, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to mispronounce this. Uchashravas was a seven-headed horse given to Bali. And it has some more. I'm kind of caught the vibe that I don't have to get too into that. I thought, but that, again, from the pole star, the pole shift, seeing the etymology of, divining, wind, the air, creating the world, again, the whirlwind, or creating a world, WHIRL, with the words, words, worlds, worlds, being created. Again, divination, deists, connecting to gods, and more specifically, it's connected to the, the word or the phrase to shine. And again, dealing with sky gods, and again, sky, air, and again, divining, division, when things were given a name and divided into individuals, got this individual God here, this individual goddess here, you know what I'm saying? And on a little spiritual, political connection, without me going into depth with it, this is also like that same old, speaking of like being aware and remembering, because I brought up the whole memory and amnesia, but like the whole Akhenaten, like how, again, some pharaohs wanted to have just one god and some wanted to have many, and that whole little, and some people could agree like, hey, you have your little multiple gods, we got our one, as long as you ain't trying to push your shit on me and I ain't trying to push your, But again, like expressing the truth objectively without trying to persuade somebody to only, deal with things in the way I see it or the way, you know what I'm saying? And as I, again, like as I continuously done my inner work and, got more understanding, hence why, I don't do the whole external thing like how I used to do with like the voodoo and orishas and stuff like that. But I still like have a, a connection in essence with like the archetypical energies. But now that I get like, oh shit, like, all right, in Norse mythology and this and that, it's all the same person, you know what I'm saying? Like all the same. So it's like, but again, though, I get the functionality of it, in the essence of, because it creates structure. Like, that's why I see it like from an open-minded perspective. It can create structure in your spiritual practices when you do have a name for this archetype, so you know what you're dealing with, and you got a name for this archetype and you know what you're dealing with, you know what I'm saying? I see how that could be helpful, and again, to each his own. Everybody, tap into it and do it how they see fit, you know what I'm saying, for themselves. Oh, and just the last part too, and last little connections with the whole voice part and the air. Again, I brought up the deist connection etymology wise with the sky gods and the air element and thoughts and words. And I brought up the 3 different Gnostic scriptures that you could check out in connection with that, with the hypostasis of the archons. That's 1. The creation of the world. That's 2. And the tripartite tractate. That's 3. And again, gets into the Gnostics about Yadala, Sophia, kind of taps in with that. And then you got this word called Anavriti Sabdat, and Anavriti Sabdat in Anavriti Sabdat in Sanskrit. It's basically the phrase, by sound vibration one becomes liberated. That's what that stands for. And again, you got the connection with Brahman. He also, I don't think I wrote it down, but I want to say the word was tapa, was the word that came to him when he was just sitting by himself in meditation. Because literally, like, Brahman's story is literally almost mirrors exactly the Yadala story. And then you got this goddess Meenakshi, and I got some notes on that. But Meenakshi was a 3-breasted goddess. She was green, had 3 breasts, you know what I'm saying? And it's something about the 3 eyes and the 3 breasts as well, because in the anime Soul Eater, the Kishin had like 3 eyes or whatever. Not, it's more so, well, yeah, you could say almost like the kind of like in the essence, like with us, the 2 eyes and the first eye in essence, but there was that little connection. But anyway, Meenakshi proclaimed marriage to a man only if he could defeat her in combat through archery or sword, or like with swords or archery. So in other words, Meenakshi would only marry a man who could, combat her, or I guess stand strong with her in the realm of thoughts and words, you know what I'm saying? Creation, or, because again, a sword fight, and the swords in the tarot deck is connected to the air element, you know what I'm saying? And swords, symbolically, in movies and show like a sword fight, it's like a word fight. And sometimes even the people be talking as they having a sword battle, you know what I'm saying? But again, that's the swords, the words, that's all connected. And so Meenakshi proclaimed marriage to a man only if he could defeat her in combat through archery or with swords, aka thoughts and words, you know. And let me just bring it, because I know I got it. I'm like, it's all right here. Because I did bring up, let's see, pictures. Esoteric gumbo. Town from Louisiana. Got my one of my folders for the esoteric pictures called Esoteric Gumbo. A little mixture of all the esoteric stuff, just like a gumbo. Now, I think I showed this in the last video, but just one more time, because it'll, you know, I feel like, again, for the person that sits and truly watches this whole video, you know, they definitely gonna get a lot of things that they could study and, you know, just tap in with. But more so, again, the 3 and 3 also the parent of 6 and 9. I think I probably have that note in here too. But 3 is the breast that feeds 1 and 2. So even the way the 3 looks, you know, the 3 upside down is like, you know, like a breast, you know. In essence, feeding 1 and 2, 1, 2, and then 3 upside down, you know, and 3, you know, feeding 1 and 2 through communication, you know. And again, Meenakshi had 3 breasts, you know. And again, the number 3 also connecting to the hermaphrodite energy, because the mouth is hermaphroditic, both masculine and feminine, because it pushes out air, words, water, saliva, and occasionally earth, nausea, food. But then it also pulls in air, water, and earth, you know. Because again, the laws of the universe, you know, the feminine and masculine aspects existing. And, you know, if something goes like the socket is the feminine aspect, the plug is the masculine aspect. The mouth kind of does both, you know. It could push out something and pull in something, you know, which is connected to the air element, you know. Let me see with the other part to the Meenakshi. Yep. And Meenakshi, the goddess. Where you at? Is a Sanskrit term meaning fish-eyed. You know, and again, the fish are the Pisces and the Vesica Pisces, which is like an eye. So the Vesica Pisces not only represents a fish, but also an eye, and it's goddess name, you know, stood for fish eye. You know, but not to get too deep into this. Again, the video I did on 9 to 5 got into all of this. If you want to check that out. Ultimately, you could just type in universal frequencies and like these little names I'm saying for some of these videos. You could just type it in and it should come up. But yeah. Also, it's kind of like my own little vibe. I didn't read this in no book. But I shared this with y'all before, but the G represents the wisdom gained from being in a repetitive loop, in essence, you know, because it's like a circular motion. with a right angle, and that's also a part of why it's the symbol for Freemasons and why they got the compass in the square. You know, the compass represents making circles, and the square represents making straight lines. You know, the feminine energies, curves and circles, masculine, straight line. There's also the shape like the Ouroboros, so the snake chasing its tail. And no coincidence that the golden mean ratio is spelled starting off with a G. And also could see it as like C7, you know, which C is the third alphabet. So equal to 3 plus 7, 10. And gaining wisdom, so the G, you know, again, G represents the wisdom gained from being in a repetitive loop, and the wisdom of 7 from, again, the wisdom of 7 from the 10 Sephirots being experienced through water, fire, and air, the 3, you know, in which when you get into Hebrew letters, you know, the 3 mother letters are water, mem, the letter mem in Hebrew, shin, which is fire, and aleph, which is the first letter in Hebrew. You know, but those are considered mother letters. You know, and they kind of get into that too, but that's, I ain't gonna so solution, aka what does all of this mean? You know, for one, again, mastery of the paradox of duality and oneness, you know, like understanding, you know, how to embrace the fact that, again, like we're dealing with the fact that everything is interconnected, but at the same time we're in a, you know, a duality realm. And even with everything being interconnected, that doesn't mean I'm gonna let a parasite feed off of me, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like, again, like just because things interconnected, I'm not gonna, oh, again, like everything's interconnected. Instead of me going to eat some food, I'm gonna tell so and so to eat some food for me. Or instead of feeding the grass with manure, I'm gonna put some manure on my chest because everything is interconnected. Again, it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a bad, like, you know, you got a unique individual experience for a reason, you know. And that's where it, you know, it takes that strength and that toughness to be able to, you know, to have that integrity and find that harmony within, you know, again, understanding the wholeness and oneness and how everything is connected, you know, and still understanding, like, you know, like like why you slap a mosquito even though you don't want to kill nothing or whatever. But again, I done got into those depths too when I was in my more straightforward and just raw moments of expressing it. You know, I done put on the velvet glove a little bit more with my delivery and my expression. But you know, every moment you're always causing something to transition, aka die. You're always killing something in this realm, and hence why you also see the perspective of why some beings feel like, oh man, like forget this world, you know, this shit is crazy and this and that. I mean, there is some ghetto stuff on Earth, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's some, you know, again, it's like whether you want to see it like again, the three analogies that are all true, like, being inside of another being, like being in jail, or like being in a class, or like a classroom, like that. It's all kind of one and the same. And some of us are doing our best to kind of express it, again, objectively, and not just from one perspective, like, oh, it's just a jail, oh, it's just school, oh, it's just, uh it's just us inside of another being. Nah, it's all, and like it's school, you know what I'm saying? Like, and for me, it's like, since it's a gift for it to come to me like that and be able to see it and put it together like that, then I'm going to express it, because I'm a firm believer in, if a gift or something comes very easy to me, in essence, like, I mean, of course, yeah, having to study and go research certain things, but even still, like, it's like I'm being guided to it with, pretty much with ease, for the most part, you know. I say ease, like, I mean, all you have to just be aware of is to not allow for things to distract you. Again, and that'd be the name of the game, as well. It's like not to let all this external stuff distract us, like all the, like, for me personally, the news that I need to hear about will come to me. So I'm not one to go see what's going on in the news and stuff like that. And I'm a being where I feel like, man, I genuinely got an empathy for, I want beings to, or people to transition with clarity. That's why I say, instead of resting in peace or whatever, it's like transition with clarity. Because that's like, could speak to a being that's still like in their physical body, or who didn't transition from the perspective of using it as quote unquote dying. But it's like, just transition with clarity. That's something that, I express internally, and that I want, like, I send that energy to others. So it's like, I don't have to watch the news and then make a video like, oh, the poor people in this area who's dealing with this. It's like, man, I'm constantly like, like, hey, man, as things getting tough in this realm or whatever, man, I trust that the people will be activating themselves, who, capable of activating themselves, and those who've been on the fence get off the fence and start to do whatever they gotta do. Those who transition with clarity, whether you're staying in your body and transitioning with clarity, or you're transitioning out of your body, maybe with clarity. You know what I'm saying? Like, but again, I feel like we're all wired different in how we soak up and deal with certain things. Like some people, hence why some of us could see better than others in different manners, are like, like, well, some people see spirits like full-fledged, while some of us just feel it and know what's there, but we don't. It's best for us to not see it, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, we wired a certain way where if we could see it the way other people see it, we would operate in a manner that would just be counterintuitive, or, you know what I'm saying, like, it just wouldn't, like, it's better for me to just sense it. It's better for some people to see it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on, on how you align. But yeah, as far as the solutions and what all this mean, master the paradox of duality and oneness, to remember to maintain mental, emotional, spiritual health, to avoid the quote unquote, again, like, madness, but then also like what I brought up in connection with, like, not making it seem like, oh, this being outside of you. But again, just like with the Kundalini rising within you, within the earth, being able to handle that, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you know, uh, and stay healthy. Again, my my playlist, Eternal Health, has a bunch of solutions and bunch of practical applications, that you could go check out, that could help you, self-explanatory through the videos of, you know, what it's helping you with and how to do it, so mastery of I said that part, transmuting and healing karmic cycles, what I'm saying, helping us to understand, again, uh through our, understanding our natal charts. And if you're not even into astrology, just seeing like certain, traumas and energies that you're just dealing with, that you could tell like, all right, I need to face this fear, or this is something I'm always triggered by, what I'm saying? I need to, do whatever I need to do to, transmute this energy. But transmuting and healing karmic cycles is another, again, like by understanding like everything me explaining again, like the whole precession of the equinox and the pole shift, understanding the whole division slash divining, the air beings and the creation with words, and all that, like, is for us to have a better understanding. Because the cliche statement, how do you really know? Because really though, like, how do you really know where you're going if you don't know where you come from? Because if you don't know where you're going, you could be walking back into like, say for instance, if there's things in your past that you need to learn from that you're not aware of, you may put yourself back into those same traumatic or harmful situations, so that's what this, like, all of this, besides the fact that, again, like, some of us are from that thread. Matter of fact, like they would say in the Wheel of Time, we from that thread of energy where we like to share orally. We from that air thread, you know what I'm saying? We kind of, because the oral, sharing through talking, and talking a lot, doing hour-long videos, 2 hour long, 3 hour, 4 hour, five. That's an air element, you know what I'm saying? Some of us, lean a little bit towards expressing things through the air element. But also, because again, it just comes to, like, it just comes through with more ease. And also understanding yourself as no thing, aka source on a human experience. So understanding yourself as source on a human experience, no thing on a human experience, for those that it applied to, because I'm one of those people, I do get that it's different, not say, but I just get that it's different levels to, the soul energy. And more so though, I just think that, again, like with how I explain in certain videos about, like, our quote unquote demons and energies like that, is an energy that feels like it's cut off from the source energy, like it's not capable of creating its own energy, so it becomes parasitic and feels like it has to vamp off of something else, but through cycles and maybe a certain amount of lifetimes, that being could learn how to, what I'm saying, embrace that energy and not be parasitic, but understanding that. And also, understanding whether a saint or a sinner, embracing your inner shadow and transitioning through the underworld. Because again, that's why I brought up, like, again, whether in the mythology of the Ra in the sunboat having to pass through the underworld, like, again, as a part of the experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm just the light. I'm just this, and that's all I am. And again, that goes into the division aspect. Oh, so you just air? Oh, you just the light? Like, you the whole thing. So again, whether saint or sinner, and saint or sinner for, not necessarily saint or sinner by, but you get what I'm saying. Whether saint or sinner, embracing your inner shadow and doing shadow work and transitioning through the underworld, but basically these two things, shadow work and transitioning through the underworld, is necessary. Because again, it's not so much, it just appears to be the external people, but it's more so, again, the mastery. It's your mastery of your inner world and yourself first and foremost. Again, that's why I like knowing ourselves to the fullest is the best protection that we could have. Because that's not to say that, like, when I say it's not the external people, yes, there have some people in this environment that may be trying to be antagonists towards you, that may be representing distractions. But again, it starts within. Because if you're open to being distracted, then you're gonna allow for that distraction to distract you. You know what I'm saying? But if you strong and you knowing to be focused or whatever, then you won't allow for that energy to, show up and throw you off. I'll try to throw you off in essence, but and lastly, again, in connection with, like, the little post, just simply, I ain't going deep into it, but again, I did that post on YouTube about, like, connection with the throat chakra in the movie Doom, and the Kwisatz Haderach, the Kwisatz Haderach, the male who could be able to speak a certain voice, like this group of this women group on the movie Doom, but Doom, Motherland, what it is, Motherland Salem, and then the Wheel of Time, definitely kind of highlights that energy of, like, the feminine, like, basically kind of like that first little beef and that little energy of, like, the masculine and feminine energy, like, trying to control each other. And right now we in a space, again, like, in order to balance things off, we're embracing more. And again, when we say feminine, let's just say more so embracing the yin aspect of things a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? It's not to go into extreme. It's not to say that men gotta start acting like a woman. Teach his own on your orientation and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we as beings, we are androgynous in nature, in essence. But again, it's in just the way we doing things, leaning a little bit more towards the yin energy to balance things off. Because if the scales is like this, And again, this side would be what's weighing heavy, what we got a lot of. This is the light side, what we don't have a lot of. And if this side is like heavy with masculinity, and this side is like light with feminine, feminine energy. This side heavy with yang energy, this side light with yin energy. We got to put a little yin energy on a scale to kind of, bring it to a balanced place. Man, I greatly appreciate everybody. Where everybody from? Where y'all in the building? Do y'all have any questions before I go? Any questions before I go? Got Texas in the building. All right. Alabama. All right. Rich boy. Like, throw some D's on it. Any questions before I go? Before I give my little closing statements. Like where everybody from, that's the only 47 and Lanice, that's the only two people that's nobody else from nowhere. I mean, technically, again, if you want to be all super like, because sometimes I even speak like that, like, hey, I incarnated in Louisiana. But I am no thing on a human experience. Hey, where you from? I am no thing on a human experience. I am nowhere and everywhere. I have no state. I have no city. It's always good to, remind yourself, but it ain't gotta be that extreme. A word. I greatly appreciate y'all tapping in, talking with each other in the chat. Again, I just posted all right, Boston in the house. I got a brethren from Baton Rouge that's out that way now. Actually boxing. Getting this boxing in Boston. It's a word. So greatly appreciate y'all. As y'all know, any and all donations are greatly appreciated. Donation links are underneath this video and all of my videos. And I just did a post where you could actually get somebody got the other piece, but let me see, where is this? Since I'm right here. But go look at the post on the community, under the little community part, but a little amethyst. And I say little amethyst, but I wrap it with 12 gauge copper, so it's pretty sturdy. A lot of people don't know that, except if you look at the reviews or you actually have one, that how sturdy they really are. But cause since I only do a few, it's like I want to make something that lasts, a very long time. Especially, it's like cool that I could make something with my hands that could last somebody, to be real with your shit, lifetimes. Cause like it really would take, like, you gotta like really just like, I'm gonna break this and roll over with a car 30 times, and it's like you ain't want it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? You do it all that, cause that's the only way you would kind of break it in that sense. But yeah, other than donations, again, you could check out the Etsy shop is coming. I'm getting the Etsy shop and website. I'm telling you. Y'all know most people, some of us, it take us a little while, but we get it done. But that's a shop coming soon. But until then, or coming back, I should say, ordering through Instagram. And I do have the directions on how to order on my Instagram page. Again, my Instagram page with the crystal art / jewelry is Epic Lifestyles, which is spelled EPIKLIFESTYLEZ. So if you want to, order something, only have pendants at the moment. That's all I mostly do, until the bracelets come back online again. But pendants, again, on Epic Lifestyles Instagram. Donation links underneath all of the videos. Even though my videos serve well and most don't need consultations, I still also do spiritual consultations. Email me if you interested. But that is basically it. Again, remember to like and share. You know what I'm saying? Make sure the videos don't get shadow banned, that they have no choice but to see and come across these videos. And I think that is all. Again, greatly appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody, showing up. It means a lot. Appreciate you whether you donate or not. It's not about, you know what I'm saying? If you're familiar with this channel and you see all these 1,000 videos and hours of videos, donations, and that's asked for more so because, again, I did choose to do this more full time than working. But ultimately, though, it's like I just like to share the awareness, share the knowledge, and more so share a knowledge that helps you to help yourself. Because it's gonna be a point too where ain't gonna always be doing videos the way I do them and stuff like that. So but that's it. I'll close again. Much love and appreciation for the ancestors. our spirit team, spirit guides, ancestors, all aspects of our inner guidance. Ashe, may we continuously increase the clarity of truth and, the clarity of our intuition, and, overcome your fears, and, may everybody maintain and increase their spiritual health, physical health, emotional health, and mental health, etheric health, astral health. May your health on all levels increase. But yeah, y'all know what it is. Now is to vibrate, not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now. Peace, y'all.